sales business, and how we can take those tools and I think absolutely smoke what they've done with the proper amount of focus. So I'm excited that we got the executive is executive board member now, Alex. After we've hit 1 million, is that correct? Executive board member Alex Amy. Boom.
Well, wow. Hey, Joseph, how you doing? How's everyone doing? Now, just so I know, is this a general call for all your agents, or are these just a special select group of leaders, or kind of what's the context?
Well, I would say that they're all special, but and I don't mean like special.
I mean, like short bus special?
I don't mean like short bus special. I've driven the struggle bus. These guys, most of them, the reason that we hired them was that I think that they're all past the struggle bus, that they all bring a lot to the table. We have some brand new people on here, like literally someone that we just talked to this morning, and have some guys on here like Jake Joseph and Jara and James and Pam, and we're going to have more people that will be coming on as the call progresses. But these are this is the best group we got, man.
All right. Well, I'm honored. I am honored. There's some big names on here, some of my best buddies, and the folks that I look to, man, to keep the business rocking like it is, the avian hierarchy, and I can't be more proud to be, your great granddad, I guess. It's funny to think about it that way. It's amazing how fast 24 years flies. I remember, like, after we got our, Mike, Noel, Patrick, Connors, the group of us got our licenses in like November '99, and like the end of November. I think actually my license was official the first week in December. And I wrote my personal policy on the 8th of December 1999. I still have it. It's a home certain policy, return of premium, disability riders, et cetera, et cetera. And I just, it's kind of a badge of honor, huh? Your first policy that you wrote on yourself.
Yeah. I still got mine, man. I still got that Forrester's, because unfortunately Paycheck Certain had just gone out. It didn't matter, man. You wrote it. We got paid.
I know. It really was. It really was that way. That's funny. So if we got some new people on here, I'll tell you what, to memorialize your entrance into the business, I think you need to write a policy on yourself. In my opinion, right? You can do whatever you want to do. It's all volunteer army. You're 1099 contractor. But, in my 24 years and multiple 8-figure income over the last 24 years, I would think that might be a smart thing to do, to buy a policy on yourself. One way that I've used that policy is showing my clients at the end of an appointment. I would tell them, hey, by the way, would you like to see what your policy is going to look like? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. Well, let me show you my policy. So I pull my policy out of my bag, and I basically do a pre-delivery policy delivery. I show them what their policy is going to look like by showing them my policy. And it works like magic. I mean, talk about, turning a conceptual sale into a rock solid piece of thing that they can touch, feel, smell, do the wacka thing with it. And I've sold so much and locked down so many sales with my policy. So, if that's a good reason to do it, I think that's, as good as any other. Oh, by the way, you probably love your families too, right? So, oh, by the way, you love your families, so you want to buy life insurance for them. And what better way than to, buy your own policy through the Alliance to any one of our carriers. But that's just me. You can do what you want to do. Anyway, so I think Joseph wanted me to cover some things. Literally,
have such great stuff going on right now, and every time I've gotten on a call with you in the last 90 days, it's been, it's crazy. It's been the basics, but it's been laid out, and maybe it's probably me. I'm sure it's me. It's been laid out in such a way that I can finally hear it. You know, it's, and you're laying out truths with an attitude of no apologies for who you are, no apologies for what you got your hands on. I mean, it's just it's like you've always been, you're one of the kindest people that I've ever met. Like I love it. Like you said, hey, do whatever you want. It's your deal. But at the same time, I hope everyone understands that underneath that sheath is a razor sharp ninja sword that's like, listen, this is what, if you want to make a multiple 8-figure income, do what this guy is telling you to do. So I'd love for you to unsheath that thing and take a little bit of maybe the niceness off and just lay out some truth. Because, dude, we are doubling in the next 90 days. I mean, I am so fired up for this team right now. We have so many people who are just poised on just absolutely smashing the crap out of it. And it's like steel sharpens steel. I mean, if we're namby-pamby about this and play nicey-nicey, then we're going to not get what we want.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting how we take the gloves off because we want to tell you the truth. At the same time, we don't want to drive anyone away. But truth is truth, and I'm not one to really kind of skirt around it. I'll try to make it sound as palatable as I can, because especially if you're brand new. Like when you told me we had some brand new people on here, then okay, that kind of makes me think about how I need to phrase my words. But at the same time, I want the new people to understand what you got to do. This is a serious business, and I think what Joseph is referring to is there's different levels of thinking about your business. When you get in, it's sort of well, I hope this works, and I'm going to do everything I can, but I hope this works. Gee, this sounds like a cool thing. You mean you make commissions by calling someone on this lead and going to their house and helping them out? Yeah, $500 a pop, right? That's not a bad deal, and you start thinking of it in those terms, and then 1099 contractor, you can do whatever you want. You're your own boss, and but that's one of the hardest things, is controlling yourself and applying self-discipline, because you are your own boss. It's a two-edged sword. This whole business is a two-edged sword, and while you might be doing something great here, there's also the other side where if you're not doing the other things, then everything you're doing on the positive side gets negated, and sometimes in a big way. So the important thing about starting this business out is, number one, treating it like a business. Like, seriously, you're the president and CEO of your own company, and it might be a company of one person, or you and your spouse, but you got to treat it as serious as anybody that's a founder of a business. The guys I hang around, okay, and I'm from California, so to me, guys is inclusive of female and male and anyone in between. Okay, the folks I hang around are people that are founders of businesses, primarily software businesses, that treat their business as a business. No one gets into a software as a service business, SaaS business, thinking that they're just going to try it out and do it as a hobby. The folks I hang around and get mentorship from are people that treat their business as a business because they know their end game in 5 to 7 years is to sell that business for 5x, 7x, even 10x of their multiples of their revenue, so they can go be a founder of another business. They're serial entrepreneurs in a big way, right? And so when they build their business, when they get in a business, they already have a mindset of, how do I build this to the point where I could sell it to someone for millions so that I could go and move into my next business? And, in the insurance business, we have that opportunity certainly with integrity marketing. But the motivation is no different than you starting out getting your life insurance license, because now you have a license, in my opinion, and in Andy Albright's opinion, to print money. Okay. What you do with that license and how you run your business is everything to being successful. Everything. And I didn't realize this until I started making a lot of money. I started building a large agency. And what's interesting is, had I known a lot of the things that I've learned the last like 3-4 years starting out, I probably would have done a few things differently. Okay. Now, I don't regret the past. You should never regret the past. Everything in your past brought you here today, right? So appreciate your past, because you learned from it. You're learning from it. Okay. So it's sort of, kind of wistfully thinking that if I had done this back then, well, I'm doing it now, right? And so some of the things I'm going to share with you comes from the mentality of you are the president and CEO, the founder of your own insurance business, okay? And if you treat it as such, with the idea of tracking everything, creating processes that are duplicatable, and working your way out of a job and into, a life of freedom, okay? When I say freedom, let me define that for you, because I think this is really important. Freedom is not doing anything you want to do whenever you want to do it. Everyone thinks that's freedom, okay? That's hedonism, okay? What is freedom? Freedom is the ability to choose what you ought to do. And that's a big word. That ought word is a big word, because what that means is you become responsible when you have the freedom based on the kind of income you're making, which is ongoing residual. We call it monthly recurring revenue. In the world of software, we call it MRR, monthly recurring revenue. Do you know that you are in the perfect business to create monthly recurring revenue? In other words, revenue that keeps going on every month, whether you're there or not. And ultimately, that's what a business entrepreneur does when they are founders of their own business, is how can I create monthly recurring revenue without me? Ultimately, had I known that, okay, I would have probably structured my business differently. I would have made different strategic moves. But hey, you get to learn from that. You get to make decisions based on how can I create monthly recurring revenue, MRR. Look it up, Google it, monthly recurring revenue. It's the best type of revenue, because it's revenue that grows in your business without you. And why would someone want to buy your business? Because your business continues to grow without you, because you put the right people in place, the right processes in place for your business to continue growing and creating additional monthly recurring revenue that doesn't need you. See, because at every level in the business, when you're building it, you start off as your own sales agent. You're an agency of one. You're the founder of your company, the president, CEO, the CFO, but you're also the producer, okay? And so as such, everything you're making is because of what you're doing. Now that's cool. If that's what you want to do the rest of your career, God bless you. I am not saying that that's a bad game plan. That's your game plan. God bless you, man. Rock and roll. Do the best you can do. Be the best you can be in that. You're making a difference in your clients' lives, and I respect that and appreciate that. And by the way, the only way we build a business like this are finding people that want to do that have to do it, that are driven to sell insurance. Okay, so no way am I thinking that's a lesser form of business model. Okay. However, okay, if you're wanting to build a business based on monthly recurring revenue, then you have to think of it differently than the agency of one. All right. Now, I know some of you, especially you're brand new, you don't have an earthly clue what I'm talking about, and that's okay. Maybe you'll look back and some of this will resonate later. But some of y'all have been in the business long enough, 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 20 years, whatever. Maybe I'm more talking to you, okay? And maybe I'm talking about how you need to learn to get free, right? So you can do what you ought to do, so you can make the world a better place, okay? So I'm gonna just fire at you some fundamentals of thinking that hopefully will help you. This what I'm sharing with you today is not going to be everything you need to hear. Okay, I'm just going to lay some foundation of things you need to think about. Okay, so the Atomic Habits. Just when we talked about this book, Atomic Habits. In it, James Clear talks about that you don't rise to the level of your goals. Okay, everyone has lofty goals. Winners and losers have big goals that they want to accomplish. He says you don't rise to the level of your goals because losers and winners all have lofty goals. He says that you settle to the level of your processes. Okay, and you can insert processes with habits, whatever. I'm big on processes because that's a big word in the world of SaaS, software as a service, and it's applicable in life insurance. Is this whole notion of process? Okay, this is all a process. In other words, a process of duplication. So let me give an example. Do you have a documented process of how you track your placement and persistency? That's a big question, by the way. Do you know what your placement and persistency is? How you producers out there, do you know? Do you know what your agency's placement and persistency is? If you don't even know how to get that number, oh my gosh, you are totally out of business. You're totally out of business. The problem with not knowing your placement and persistency numbers is that you could be out of business and you will never recover. By the time it becomes a problem, it's already too late. You can't outright a persistency problem. Okay. But Alex, how do I calculate it? There's no like magic number in the alliance. Well, oh my gosh. When the arc was up, it's really kind of simple. It's staring at you when your commissions. It's very rudimentary. But if you look at your chargebacks and what you're making, if you're hovering around 75%, okay, then you're average. In other words, 75%. So if your commission says year to date 100,000, right, and your chargebacks and debt is 25,000, then you're running about roughly a 75% persistency. Okay, if that's all you do, that is so much better than not even knowing how to do that. Okay, there's much more specific way of doing it that's much more accurate. If it's worse than that, oh my God, help you. Okay, I'm not going to tell you how to solve that problem here, but my point is, if you don't know your placement and persistency, and there's very much of a process how to calculate it, but especially those of you that are brand new in the business, if you're not tracking how many of the policies that you submit that gets issued, you need to. Okay, I'm just saying you need to. And so this is just an example of what we call key performance indicators, KPIs. And in the world of business, KPIs is a huge buzzword now because you can't expect what you don't inspect. Okay, let me say that again. You can't expect what you don't inspect. If you don't inspect your placement and persistency, how are you going to know how to improve it? You can't improve what you don't know, right? How can I become better at keeping business on the books? Well, tell me what your persistency is right now. Well, I don't know. Oh gosh. I can only tell you based on what I know what your numbers are. Okay. So KPIs. So let's just deal basics. Okay. Real basics. If you're a producer, you need to be tracking, okay, your activity report, right? Like we have our agents report their activity numbers. And these are KPIs, key performance indicators. Like simply, okay, for a producer, number of dials, right? The number of contacts you make, the number of appointments you book, the number of sits, the number that you close, how many of those did you close? What is your annual premium that you wrote from it? How many emergency response system referrals do you get from there? What's your number of policies per home, right? How many apps per home are you writing? What is your lead investment every week? What is your premium per lead? Like how many you even know that number? Well, what's that mean? Okay. This is submitted premium per lead cost. So you take what you invested that week in your leads, and you divide that into the amount of premium that you wrote. So that's your submitted premium per lead. That's a real number. So if you did 5,000 submitted premium and you invested $500 in leads, that's a 10-to-1 ratio of premium per dollar lead that you invested. It's an important number because that number will baseline whether you can improve by doing more ERSs, more premium outside of leads. That if you get 20-to-1, oh my gosh, you are rocking, okay? If you got 5-to-1, we need to help you because you are terrible. If it's 2-to-1, Lord have mercy, you're like going out of business. Now, do you see how simple number like that can inform what it is, what we need to do to help you? But if you don't know that number, we don't know how we can help you, right? And then, oh my gosh, there's the issue paid premium per lead cost, which is going to be a lower number, right? Like if you did 5,000 for $500, but what is it really when you got issue paid? Is this where your issue paid percentages are important? Okay. Now I know I'm going at you really hard and fast with these numbers, but I'm telling you, any founder of a business should know those numbers, because how do you know you're in business? How do you know your profitability margin at the end of the week? Well, don't we just track it by quarter? Oh my gosh, how are you going to react to issues in your business if you don't track it every week, right? Like, I hope I'm scaring you into treating your business seriously, okay? Don't ever treat it any less serious than people that run businesses. And I'm going to say real business because your business is a real dadgum business, right? Because it's a business that you can actually create monthly recurring revenue. Here's how I know that people have a problem with this. Is how many business owners that you know of decide to get out of the business, they go work for someone else. There's a ton of them out there because they didn't know what they were doing. Like most of them will tell you, I just could not run my business anymore because it was running me. I go, dude, like, did you have people working for you? Well, I tried, but I just couldn't get anyone good. It's like, well, you probably couldn't find, you probably weren't serious at finding anyone good. You probably couldn't find people that were good because you didn't even know what good looks like, okay? Because you weren't good, right? You had no way to evaluate someone else because you couldn't evaluate yourself whether you're good or not. You could be the worst master electrician that's barely profitable. How can you identify someone who's going to be a good potential master electrician if you are terrible at measuring yourself, right? It's the most insane thing I've ever heard of in my life. When you can't even track your own numbers, how are you going to find someone and teach someone how to track theirs? Does that make sense? Am I on the right track, Joseph? Or
yeah, no, this is awesome, man. This is the basics that are the basics.
Yeah. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to lay a foundation for you to think, because I want you to think. Most important thing I could do in this call is to make you think differently about yourself, your business, and how you're running it. Not meant to make you feel bad. In fact, you should be excited that I'm saying stuff that's just waking you up. It's a cold splash of water on your face to wake you up to what you need to do differently in the future. When I started learning these things from guys that people I were paying $2,500 a month for mentorship. So I'm giving you like this stuff for free. Okay, I'm not charging you a thing for this. Okay. So, okay, I'm watching my time. So that's a singular producer. Okay. So I'm sure you're like shaking your head going, oh my gosh, it can be done. You can do it. There are simple ways to track all that stuff. And you just have to check upline and they'll teach you how to do that, right? Okay, let's talk about KPIs for business builders. Okay, so this is really kind of who I want to talk to because you're the ones that want to create the monthly recurring revenue so that you can create value in your business. In other words, it's treating your business as an asset, okay? You're not treating your business like a vehicle, like a car, because a car depreciates in value, right? You can't treat your business because a car isn't really an asset, right? It's a depreciating asset. We're talking about treating your business as an asset that appreciates because of the value that you're creating in it, because you're creating it to generate revenue without you. Okay. What good is a business where the only way the business grows and the only way the business continues to make revenue is if the founder is in it? That's not very valuable. I'll give an example. Let's take CPAs. In fact, there are 3 million CPAs that got out of the business last year. 3 million. Why? Because it sucks being a CPA. Okay. CPAs, the average CPA sells their business for at 1x of revenue. So let's say they are making, $1 million a year. They can only sell their business for $1 million. That sucks. The reason why is because they're the ones that keep it going. The only reason why someone buys a CPA business is they get the clients. Okay. But the likelihood of them keeping the clients may not be very high because it was the CPA that was selling the business. That's why those people are with that CPA. They expect to maybe lose half the business after they take over. That's all, kind of in part of their thinking is why they want to, buy those clients, okay? Because they probably have other things they want to sell to that clientele other than CPA services. So that shows you how a business model like being a CPA is not the best one in the world. You guys are in a better business model. So what kind of KPIs are we talking about when you're building a business for monthly recurring revenue? Okay. The first one is issue paid legs and width. So every month, how many issue paid legs are you running? You need to be able to tell me like that, how many issue paid legs. Like every week you should know how many issue paid legs you have. That means, what does that mean? It means that agents that are contracted direct to you, how many of those legs have sold a policy, at least one policy in a month, okay? And how many do I have? Number one, how many am I adding to it every month? And how many am I losing every month? Am I netting more that I'm losing? If you're not growing your issue paid legs and width, then I'm telling you, your business isn't growing. But Alex, I have all this going on in depth. I appreciate that. That's rocking. God bless you, right? But tell me what happens when all those people start bumping up against your commission rate level. Tell me how much you're making. You're making 5%. I don't care what commission rate you are. 5% a leg that does $100,000 a month. Let's calculate that. What's 5% of 100,000 times 0.05? Woohoo! $5,000. Woohoo! Well, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is, and you should thank God that you have a leg that's producing $5,000 of monthly recurring revenue for you. Okay, I'm not saying that's bad, but if that's the only leg you have, Lord help you, because that leg is going to pass you up, and if you're not GLOW eligible, you're going to get 0 overrides off that leg, right? But if you've got 20 issue paid legs, you still got that one leg, but you've got 20 issue paid legs that are doing $200,000 a month, and your average override is 25%, 200,000 times 0.25. How about make 50 grand a month on your width? Yeah, you're making 5,000 off that 100,000 leg, but if those other 19 legs are doing 200,000 outside that leg, and your average override is 25%, it's rocking. But Alex, I'm competing against all these other agencies that give away 110, 120%. Let me clue you in on the reality of those organizations out there that give away contract, okay? And I know this for a fact from 2 different sources of friends of mine that are in another organization that starts with F and ends in L. Okay. They're known for giving away large contracts. They teach them that it's good to give away large contracts and have a 5% override on your organization because you give away large contracts because you got a large contract. Let me tell you the problem with that mentality is you're operating at such a slim margin and you're still teaching these new agents how to sell insurance. So basically, you're getting paid very little for that. Here's the problem. The problem is when you start getting chargebacks from agents that were at a 110, 115, 120, imagine getting a chargeback. So let's say they wrote a $1,200 final expense times 1.2. That's a $1,400 chargeback. Can you imagine getting a $1,400 chargeback? You only made 5% on it the first time around. And then you get a roll-up because that agent left of $1,440 and you barely made any money on it in the first place. Imagine eating that chargeback. That's why a lot of people in that business that don't know what they're doing start hiring agents at a high contract. They make barely any profit, and then they eat all the chargebacks later. I've talked to 2 different managers that said, I am not hiring anyone anymore because I can't eat the chargebacks. There are guys that are $70,000 in chargebacks that they're paying off. They stop hiring, and they're just running business to pay off all their chargeback debt because they're giving away contracts. See, the smarter person in the alliance, what they do is they hire people so that their spread is 15, 20% because they've earned a high enough contract because they produce and they built with, okay? You guys understand me? Issue paid legs and with means that you can move up and you can have a higher spread in your agents. So now you're making 20, 25, 30%, 40% on a new leg that you got started. And if you suck up chargebacks later, number one, it's not very much of a chargeback because they're at a lower contract. Number two, you had enough of an override to fund any issues that you have in the future. And oh, by the way, when your process, part of your process of teaching placement of persistency and ERS referrals will mitigate the chargebacks in a huge way.
Right.
You cannot build a business without having a large enough spread, right? But Alex, chargebacks, so man, that makes me nervous. It's like, dude, seriously, do you think a grocery store, do you think they have spoilage on the shelf? Yes. They have what, 2%, 5% spoilage. They know all their fruits and vegetables, not all of them are going to get sold. They're going to have to throw stuff away. They throw stuff away. That's part of the deal. That's like in our business. But they can manage that. This is your ability to manage that. Issue paid legs and width will help you manage that. Does that make sense? So issue paid legs and width, man, that's huge. It is huge when it comes to profitability, and you need to keep growing that like crazy. And then you need to teach your people to grow their issue paid legs and width. That's a rock and solid organization. Unique writing agents. How many unique writing agents do you have in your organization? Individual agents that gets at least one issue paid policy in a month. Unique recruiting agents. How many in your organization are independently recruiting apart from you? In other words, they're investing in ZipRecruiter ads. They're investing in ads. They're going out there and they're recruiting people independent of you. Unique recruiting agents in width. So can you imagine if you had 20 issue paid legs in width and you had 15 of them independently recruiting? You are sitting on a powder keg. You are so mega pregnant. Man, you've got some hope. See, unique recruiting agents in with legs, issue paid legs and width. I mean, man, get fired up if you're tracking it. But see, if you don't even know to track this stuff, you are not in business. You are pretending. You are pretending. Ah, man. I get all jacked up. If you're wondering why you're sitting at agency manager for so damn long, it's because you are not doing this. You're not tracking this stuff. You're on a treadmill. In fact, you got a job as an agency manager. You were going to say something, Joseph?
No. You said it. You have a job as an agency manager. You don't have a business.
And being an agency manager job is one of the worst jobs. I mean, one of the worst jobs because you're babysitting. You're not producing monthly recurring revenue, working your way out of the agency manager job. How do we know this? How many times have you recruited a person that said, well, I've been in business 25 years? I go, oh, wow, that's a long time. Did you build an agency? Yeah, back in the day, I had 30 guys that were working for me. Wow, that's a lot. How much premium were you doing? Oh, I was doing about $200,000 a month. Wow, you must have been making a lot of money. yeah, I was making a lot of money. I go, well, what happened to that agency? You still have it? No, no, I got so tired of babysitting agents. Okay. How many times, if you're doing any kind of recruiting, how many times have you heard that story? About 1,000,000 times, right, Joseph? You've heard it time and time again. That is the person that builds their business improperly, that builds their business like a job.
They build it like a job. Right. They can't see the vision of what you're laying out here.
Yeah, crazy. Then the obvious KPI, total issue paid premium. But here's the key. What's your issue paid premium outside your first 2 legs? Take your first leg, subtract it. What do you got left? Take your second leg, then tell me what you got. That's a sobering one right there. How many direct contracts are you contracted? Direct agents are you contracting to yourself every month? Direct contracted agents. It's so easy to hide in depth in this business where so I'm working all these legs. It's like, dude, seriously, don't fool me. You know, you can fool me, but the worst person to fool is yourself, thinking you're growing. You need to continue to bring on issue paid legs and width and through direct contracts to you. Okay. Then how many depth contracts are you getting? So that's a number that you do need to track because you need to track your depth, right? So those are KPIs. KPIs, key performance indicators. You need to track that. You need to figure out a process to track all those and or hire someone else to do it, okay? Hire someone else to give you those numbers so you can track it every week, every month. You can see your progression every week towards the end of the month, determine where you are and how does it compare to last month. See, if you don't have anything to compare it to, then you don't know where you're at. You are like a ship in the ocean with no place to go. You're just bobbing based on the waves and the storms, and you are rudderless. You have no direction, right? You don't know if you're trending up, you're trending down. You have no clue. If you're just purely tracking your income, it's like, man, you're in survival mode. All you're looking at is how you can pay your bills. That's survival. It's not thriving. You're not talking about thriving and growing. Anyway, okay. Your goal. It's funny when people they're an agency manager and they're just like trying to get to district manager. I'm just trying to get to district manager. It's like, dude, you know what happens? Or like when you try to go for agency manager, you hit agency manager. What happens? You hit it 2 months in a row. Then the next month you go backwards, right? Well, I was an agency manager for 2 months. Yeah, but you went backwards. You're not a real agency manager. You're a fake agency manager. You need to build it. If you're not agency manager, you need to build it to district manager. So when you hit district manager, you're at least an agency manager when you fall back. So this is the idea of building it 2 levels above where you're at. So if you're an agency manager, you should be looking at regional manager. I think I have that right? Is that right?
Yep.
You need to look at building regional manager. So when you fall backwards from regional manager, oh bummer, you're a district manager. How hateful is that, right? Does that make sense? Build 2 levels above where you are so that when you fall back higher than where you were, right? Then one of the numbers, this is what I found a really good predictor. Like if you tell me how many unique writing agents you have in a month, I can tell you roughly what kind of premium you're doing. And this just really comes down to, again, the averages. Like we've tracked this 4,000 to 4,500 issue paid per unique writing agent per month. Doesn't matter if you've got, 28. It really kicks in when you have about 20 or more agents. You get to about 20 plus, that's a mega predictable number. So you can get a feel for where you're going to be issue paid premium wise, right? So, okay, 20 minutes left.
Yep.
Okay. So what I hope to have impressed upon you is that this is a serious game if you want to take it serious. And so what is your process to determine these numbers that you need to be tracking? And if you don't have a process, you develop the process by which to track these numbers, to develop these numbers, and to track it from week to week, month to month, so you know where you're trending. Okay. What's beautiful about this is when you inspect these every month, it shines a light. And when you shine a light on the things you're tracking, then you're mentally prepared to work in improving that. It's just something when you see it all the time, it's in your mind all the time, and your subconscious starts putting in the process, the work it's going to take to improve that number. It's a magical thing. Okay. And again, it in my opinion, it really follows the 11th commandment, which is thou shalt not fooleth thyself. Okay. The King James version of the 11th commandment. All right. So let's finish up with this. Do you want to be truly great? Like, do you really? And it's okay if you don't want to be truly great. Okay. There's nothing wrong with just wanting to make enough money to live and have fun with your family and this stuff. Okay. So that's a room that you can just stay in. And there's, God bless you, man. If that's what you want to do, I'm not throwing rocks at that. I mean, you can stay in that comfortable room and live your life, the rest of your life, and enjoy your life like that. Okay. Who I'm talking to in this section are the people that put themselves in this other room, right? And this other room is, do you want to truly be great? Like really great. We're talking world impacting great. Okay, not great from the standpoint of ego, but making the hugest impact that you can in this life that you have. And this become much more important. Because I don't know if you guys remember in Patrick's group, David and Linda Holt. David now, he's been fighting cancer. And they found out 2 weeks ago this cancer is metastasized all over his body. It's everywhere. There's just not enough chemo that he could take to get rid of it. So right now, as of today, he's in hospice at home. I talked to him today. He could barely talk. And he's been an agent with us for years. You know, I used to do meetings for him in Knoxville, Tennessee. I used to drive down there and we used to have just some of the funnest times, man, just building a business and showing the plan and doing a plan in his home, a plan in an office. I mean, we just, you know, building a business. And Linda had been a producer for a while. And, you know, we just have so many great memories. He's probably not going to make it to the end of the week. He barely could talk now. And he's 71. Okay. And I keep thinking it's easy when you start hearing stories like this, it's easy to put yourself in that hospice bed. It's easy to put yourself in there and to think, did I do everything I could do for my family? Did I spend the kind of time I wanted to with my family? Did I support them the way I wanted to? Did I give them a legacy of an example they could look up to, they can live their lives by, right? Did I give them, I have 5 kids and I keep thinking, man, what if that was me, right? You just never know, right? You guys know people that died suddenly. Did you do enough for your family? So when I'm talking about great, what am I talking about? I'm just talking about maximizing your life in a huge way, that you're impacting other people in a huge way. Okay, so some basic principles, like just kind of a checklist more than anything. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. You fill in the blanks for yourself, right? 4 things. Okay, the first one is focus. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go with your business? Where do you want to go with your life? Where do you want to go with your relationships with the people that you care about? Okay. And what this really speaks to is focus. What are you focused on? Right? What are you focused on? What drives you? What is your focus? And you can have focus to be great. And I think being great, I'll define that more later, but number 1, focus. You have to have focus. You got to know what you want. You got to know where you're going. Okay. And what's interesting is, as you've heard, as you know, success is not a destination. It's the progressive realization of a dream or goal. It's the progressive realization. Success is about the progress. It's about the journey. It's never the end point. But you got to be focused on where you want to go with your life, with your business, with your relationships, with your spiritual life. Where do you want to end up, when you finally go after this life's done, right? I love it when Andy, so I was on the phone doing a accountability session with Andy, and he said, man, let's give David a call. So he gave David a call, and he goes, you just said some really cool things to David. Told him how much he loved him and appreciated him, very, very proud of him for what he accomplished in the alliance. And he said, I'll be seeing you later. I'll be seeing you later, man. We'll be reunited. We'll be reunited again. And it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to have a view that's beyond this life. So where do you want to go? What kind of focus do you have in your life and in your business? Number 2, how bad do you want to get there? Do you have a passion for what it is you want to do, where you want to go? If you're not passionate about it, and okay, so what is passion? Passion, people confuse passion with emotion. Passion isn't just emotion. It's doing the things you have to do to get to what you want. When Christ died on the cross, that's why they call it the Passion of Christ, right? Because he knew that he needed to get on that cross to redeem us, right? It's a passion. It's not easy, but you have a passion to achieve what it is you want to achieve in your life. Here's a third one. Do you have the mental skills needed to overcome the adversity you're going to encounter when you're going for what it is you want to go for? Do you have the mental toughness to handle it? Are you able to handle the adversity? Are you able to handle chargebacks? Are you able to handle agents that leave your life that you poured, invested in with your heart, and they rip your heart out of you when they leave? Are you ready to handle that? Do you have the tools in place to handle it? Part of our job as mentors is to teach you those tools and how to handle the negatives you're going to encounter. We all know that they're there. You just don't know what they are exactly. Okay, right? And there'll be curveballs thrown your way called life that will derail you, seemingly derail you. But I never look at it as a derailment. I just look at it as an opportunity to learn how to get back on track. Because when you learn how to get back on track, then you know how to handle it the next time that distraction comes your way, right? It's always an opportunity to learn. Are you mentally tough to handle it? I've been doing this business 24 years. We've been through stuff, okay? It's not been easy, but it's been worth it. It's not been easy, but it's been worth it. Tears shed. Fear, worry, that we had to overcome. We figured it out with Andy's help. We figured out to handle the negative. Take this one to the bank. The size of your business will be determined by the amount of negative and the gravity of the negative that you can handle. Say it again. The size of your business will be dependent upon the size and the gravity of negative that you can handle. If you're mentally tough, man, and you can persevere, you got it. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Okay? But here's the fourth one. To be truly great, to be truly impactful, to do something that's just mind-blowing that you never thought you could do, but it was always inside you to do because God put it inside you. And it's this realization of your greatness that you can unleash if you do those top 3 things. But this is the one that really, to me, determines your greatness, and that is having a noble heart, right? When you give, you live. When you take, you ache. Those who give are marked with a noble heart. When you give, you live. When you take, you ache. And so having a noble heart is really dependent on with the lives of those around you, will the lives of those around you be enhanced because of what you're doing to achieve your dream, your goal, your focus? Are you going to help other people become better? Are they going to become better because you're on this earth achieving what you're achieving? Greatness is selfless exceptionalism. Do your words and actions reflect a noble heart that inspires greatness in others and makes those around you better? Okay. Here's here's how I know that I have a great relationship with my wife, Jenny. Is that and why I adore her is that she makes me want to be better. And I want to be better because I want to make her life better because I'm trying to get better to be a better husband, to be a better business owner, to be a better servant of people. You see how learning to be a servant of others is the greatness that will take you beyond just living a good life. You live a great life when you're focused on being a blessing to other people and not taking, because when you take, you ache, but when you give, you live. And when you can incorporate that, the fourth thing, into the top three that I mentioned, you're on your way. Not easy, but I hope by the time you are sitting or laying down in your hospice bed, that you can look back on the life that you lived and think of these four things that you were able to accomplish, because your legacy will be living in the people whose lives you've made better. So I think that's all I got, man. I'm 7 minutes early.
Dude, I mean, I'm glad I recorded this because I got pages and pages and pages of notes here. But one of the, of course, the biggest thing I heard, when you give, you live, when you take, you ache. That's huge. Um, but just from a numbers standpoint, though, knowing like if we don't know where we're at, it reminded me of that scene in Alice in Wonderland where, where the I think it was the caterpillar was asking Alice, where are you going? And she has no idea. She says, I have no idea. He says, well, then what does it matter? Then what does it matter? Like if we have no point in life of what we're doing, like if you have no compass, if you're rudderless, if you're drifting, if you're like, hey, I'm just, then what does it matter? So finding out what you want first, and then and knowing, and I think that part of this, Alex, for me has been, you know, I've gotten in the past, I've gotten almost paralyzed thinking, okay, I have to find my why. Okay, so I have to find my why. So Alex, I need to spend some time and find my why, and then I'll come back and figure out how to serve people. And I think it was you that was talking to me about, dude, you got to get moving and you'll figure out your why along the way. Because my why has changed over the years. Like when I had little kids at home, when I started, my kids were 4 and 10. They are now 22 and 27. So understand that my why for saying, man, I want to build this for my kids. Well, my kids are doing their own thing now. And who knows? I mean, they were both licensed at one time. They may come back, they may not. But the things that I gave them, the things that I taught them, they will carry with them forever. But now it's like my why is different. I get to look at the other kids in my business. I get to look at the Jerry Gonzalez's, who's now he's not necessarily young enough to be my kid, but he's one of my kids. And being able to look at other people in the business that are getting started and knowing that, hey, my why now is to reach in and serve them, and know that by helping the team grow, that's going to help everyone grow. It's not just about, I can see how this is not about being selfish when you're looking at growing your team. It's it's you growing the team, because then the team grows.
Absolutely, dude. And you are a great example of serving. The time we spent together, especially this last couple months, man, has really shown me how you've grown to, want to be that great servant leader to your people. It seems like everything is really focused on how you want to help your people become better, how you can be the best leader for your people. And so you're very others focused, and I appreciate that about you in a huge way, dude.
I'm so grateful you took time out of your time today, because I know you got hundreds of people on your team who are vying for your time and are wanting to grow. And so thank you for taking this time out and serving us like you did. I know that we all took a lot out of it. So I'm super grateful for it. And yeah, if you guys have not got this book yet, I know that we've talked about it. We're reading it as a team. If you have not read this book and got the audio, get both of them, because the audio is awesome when you're out running around and running appointments, because then it's getting your mind right and you're realizing that it is the little stuff that makes up all the difference. And then going back and reading it has been huge for me. So guys, I'm super grateful for everyone being here today. I'm grateful that everyone I saw was taking notes. Alex, thank you again. And dude, we are doubling in the next 90 days. I'm just fired up because, we are super focused. We are the most ambitious. We are the most focused team. We are taking it over, and we do have a sense of urgency right now. And as we're closing out this year, as we're closing out what we're doing the next 90 days, going into national convention, this is one for the record books. This is one that we're going to be talking about in the next decade. So I appreciate you, brother. I love you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.